Hello, and welcome to my very first Facebook Live for 2025. My name is Lydia, and I'm so excited to be sharing with you a topic that I am so passionate about. I started this topic about creating your dream life, the best way to live your life, the fastest way and the most effortless way, back when I started coaching about 3 years ago. And this topic always lights me up because I just get so excited in sharing with people about how you can cut the hustling, the hard work, the time wasting, the step by step, the incremental, because this was the magic that I have been finding for years, like really years. And I'll be sharing you so much more secrets inside. Today will be the day one of a 2-day live event. Today's topic will be create your dream life in 2025, and I'll be covering across these 2 days. So I'm so excited about this because mindset success is really what I am so passionate, and I can say it is my unique point. Yeah, and coming to this point, when I look back on my life 3 years ago, life was extremely different. Back then, I was still in an insurance job, which I was hustling a lot. I was working very, very hard. I was making myself sick every 1.5 months, sometimes every month. And that actually cemented in the thought that if I am sick, it means that I'm working hard, and then like I gotta drive myself sick every month. Like it was kind of crazy, and I just got numb to this cycle where I would be pushing for sales for a couple of weeks, and then afterward I'll fall sick for like 1 to 2 weeks. I'll lose my voice, I get a throat infection, I'll get fever, flu. So my body was bad. My body was in a lot of aches, and I had poor quality sleep because when as insurance agents we would actually be at night, like out with clients, or like we'll be at the house, and by the time I come back, especially a lot of my clients were staying in the west, so by the time I drive out and drive back, and sometimes I take a 1 hour train ride, by the time I come back, I'm just smashed, and my quality of sleep was so bad. I wouldn't be looking like this. So what really changed, and how was I able to flip my life like 3 years later to through the 1 to 2 years make such huge steps? In fact, I was taking, like, I would honestly say in the past 3 years it felt like decades has passed. And that era, Taylor Swift always talk about that era of when I was working so hard, hustling, and my body was achy. It felt like dinosaur ages ago. It felt like it was prehistoric days because so much has happened, and I have already shed away that identity that was attached to that hustling, step by step, incremental, work hard kind of a persona. So it really is about how can we create our dream life, but like we don't want the hustling, we don't want the hard work, we don't want that like pushing and persuading people, and like how do you create your dream life then? Right? Because society says that you got to work hard, you got to go out there and make it happen. You cannot just sit back, you're lazy, things are not going to happen just by you sitting here. So what is exactly the other route that we can pick up? Okay, so but before I begin that, let me just introduce myself. I set up my first coaching business in 2021 after I had time and productivity challenges as a first-time mom. And I'm honestly, if you've been watching my stories, follow me, or even watching my Facebook story, because I share the story between Instagram and Facebook, is that I really enjoyed my second time so much. I pretty much learned all the mistakes and all the things that I would have wanted to do in my first time, and I brought it forward. But in the second time, it was such an enjoyable ride. It was so easy. And I must honestly say that I kind of like mastered every single nitty gritty in baby rearing, like when it comes to sleep, or like breastfeeding, or like schedules, and like awake time, and like EASY, everything I kind of know at the back of my fingertips. So back then I had time and productivity challenges as a first time mom, and then after that, the next year was actually 2 really good years in terms of my career, because that was when I was straddling both insurance and coaching. So 2022 was a milestone year for me because I was very productive, and because my skill set was a lot on time efficiency, I was able to work really fast. I had 48-hour no work weekends, so there was strictly no work on weekends. I don't bring back any work, other than occasional client calls, which I try to fix them all on the weekdays especially. I was working only 3 days, but I made like in total from both incomes from my insurance and coaching was altogether about 100K in 14 months. So that was a big breakthrough, because when I was in insurance, I was struggling so hard for that like MDRT. Like, you know why? Because it was only later on I realized that I had so much mindset blocks to receiving that 100,000, to receiving that big amount that required, like, you know, meeting three clients a day, and like, you know, having no life, and like, you know, forsaking everything and everyone, you know, so they can just work and hustle your ass off so that you can just get that title, and then afterwards the following year you got to do it again, right? So when I was in coaching, anyway, just when I was in coaching, in 1.5 years, less than 10 clients, I had only less than 10 clients, but I have about 50,000. And then when I had my second baby in 2023, I quit my 10-year insurance career. And then right now I set up 2 Instagram businesses. I'm still continuing my Mindset Success Coach, which is the origin of who I am. 70.3K coaching business across 3 years with less than 1,100 followers. So the truth is, how did I get that secret is that I focus a lot on mindset, and my content is very intentional. My stories is very intentional. I want the fastest result with the least amount of work. Right? Does it even exist? So right now I'm the founder of 2 IG business, with also social.school SG, where I have one-on-one IG coaching and having IG classes as well. So yes, so that's me. And what led to all these big moves in such a short period of time? Because, you know, it was just, I mentioned 3 years ago when I was still in insurance, still hustling like everything and like everyone was doing. It wasn't that it was difficult, you know, sales was easy, you know, I had a very stable clientele base, deals closing with, I just got to follow up a little bit, I had money coming in. So what was the biggest problem, right? Ooh, okay. So what was the biggest problem? The biggest problem was that I was sick every 6 weeks, right? And I had the mindset that if I am sick, I must be working hard enough, or like the proof of working hard is when I'm sick. You know, it got so I would think that it was quite unhealthy back then, but I didn't realize, right? And no wonder my whole body was in pain. I was spending money to see TCM, doctor, physio. So it's like the money that I earned actually went out to the doctors. Right? Antibiotics, I was, not eating well as well. So I was sick every 6 weeks, and I clung on to titles and glamour, right? Like, you know, the glitzy awards, ceremony, and they say that you have to get the award to be seen as like someone who has been there, and then you got to show off to all your clients that you're doing well, because if you don't do well, people will not buy from you. So I clung onto the titles and glamour, but I actually felt very empty without them. So it means to say that I was always looking to external for validation. I was always chasing after that title, because that title meant that I'm doing good. And if that title just disappears and goes to someone else, I'll be like, shit, I'm feeling so unworthy. I'm feeling so unvaluable. So that kept me in the hustling culture. That kept me on a hamster wheel. And I'm sure so many of you who are watching this, you'll be able to resonate with this, because you yourself, I'm sure you would resonate with being stuck in the hustling culture, being hooked onto titles, material success, because that's how society is. And I think the biggest point also was about me being drowning in the noise, being easily replaceable with 10, 20 other agents. I had to be very competitive. I had to be the fastest person to reply. So it was really drowning for me, and it was so hard to stand out, because I was being seen like I was everybody else. If I don't compete or compare, I would be replaced. So you can imagine it was a very that was the mindset that I was being wired in. I kept trying to go for, like, you know, the awards, which actually required, it wasn't too far from what I was earning, but I struggled that for years. And to me, I was like, is this totally out of reach? But why is everybody having it so easy? So I felt bitter. Okay, I felt very bitter. And I was like, this, what am I doing wrong? What is wrong with me? It only really got to a point, the breakthrough, after I had my mindset blocks being released, after I had a whole year of coaching work done. So I had a lot of inner child healing. I had a lot of breath work. So I was journaling, meditation. So I was like, this is the missing piece, because I was pushing, I was doing all the right actions. I was going out there asking people, do you want to buy? Do you want to buy? Do you want to join me for a team? Do you want to join me for? I was coming up with all sorts of strategies, but it failed. It did not get me the results, and it got me so frustrated, because I was like, why is everybody coming? Why am I'm like, comparing myself with other people? So what is wrong with me? So only then I realized that I had the mindset blocks. And then that was when I realized that no matter how much action I put into goal setting, intentional planning, they will not come to fruition if I do not release and work on my mindset. So the mindset works like this. It is all the subconscious radio playing at the back of your head whenever you're doing something. If let's say you are selling a product to a client, but you at the back of your mind, you'll be like, they won't buy from me lah. And like, who am I to do that? Who am I? Why should they trust me? There comes up imposter syndrome, right? And it doesn't just show up in sales, it shows up in all areas of our lives, career, at home, right? Who am I for them to trust me? I had people coming to me and saying that I wanted to start an account, but when I was writing all my lengthy posts, I felt like very, very bad imposter syndrome. Like, who are they? Who am I? Who am I qualified? They wouldn't listen to me. So no matter what action you do, it will not work if you have this sabotaging your results, right? You have this sabotaging your results. So if you actually watch any of my clips, especially last year, I actually got especially after I had more capacity to be doing skits, right? I mentioned along the lines of these are limiting beliefs, right? And they are created within our system, the way we view the world. It can be the way we view money, relationship, work, love, materials. It is the way we put and categorize the world according to what we see, and these are actually shaped according when a lot of happenings when we were younger, of course, but it's also the mental stories we tell ourselves. So let's say, for example, when you were younger, and maybe when you saw your parents not being they were not available to teach you, to guide you as much, and they were always working, the story you tell yourself is, I'm not worthy for them to spend time with me, right? And when you actually grow older, somehow subconsciously, if you are not aware, you end up replaying that scene with your child being very unavailable, having no time, not knowing how to prioritize your time or your energy, because you're playing out that role when you were younger. So some of the limiting beliefs that I would share with you and the mindset blocks is, if I have money, I cannot be there for my family. Many of us right now are stuck in that where, I have to be hustling for money, and like I have to put my family at the back burner, right? Or if I have family, I need to play small in my career. I need to keep this balance, right? This balance is, this unsteadiness gets like very shaky, and because of that, a lot of people play small in their careers. You never wanted to step out of your comfort zone to learn how to have both in life, okay? And the best way for how do we check in with our mindset, our belief system, is when we actually look into our reality. So today I had a very interesting conversation when someone that I gave she had a 1-month coaching trial with me. She came to me for help in regards to finding helper support. So she was stuck with not so ideal support because she was doing everything by herself. Her support wasn't the best support. The support was kind of like laid back, kind of had an easier job. She was taking, and the employer who was my client, she was taking on a lot of mental load. And today when she actually messaged me, her life has changed a lot. She adopted new belief system about support. She says that, I can teach someone, I can delegate. There is no reason for me to bear all the mental load. I am the manager, they are the employee. I lead by example. Okay, I am displaying leadership. So, and she told me that all of this just happened like in just 3 to 4 months of like, she only had 1 month of coaching with me, but she was watching my videos, she was on my stories, she was reading my content, and she also had my freebie, which was the Gold Star Support giveaway video that I had in somewhere around June. So what she did was she basically shed away the limiting beliefs that she had around support. Things like, I have to do everything, if not, nothing can move. I have to be the one managing everything. And that actually kept her very mentally loaded and burdened. So it interrupts in the way she delegates, right? Because she believes that she has to do everything by herself. But right now, fast forward 3 to 4 months later, she got in a new helper. She trained the helper from scratch, and she's adopting all of the mindset shifts that I talk about in my video for her. So if there is actually something missing in your reality, maybe when you look at somebody else, I will be like, why are they having a dream relationship? But whereas mine, I'm like, always fighting with my husband, or I'm always struggling with delegation. Why am I having blockages in my career? Ask yourself, what is stopping you from receiving more of money, love, support in any area of your life? Right? So I'll let that sink in a little bit. If there's something missing in your reality, ask yourself, what is stopping me from receiving more? And then your mindset block will come up. Okay, of course, but that's provided that you do a lot of background work like journaling and breathwork and meditation, which of course I teach my clients one-to-one. So if there's something missing in your reality, you gotta look inwards, right? And instead of always being triggered with like, why is she able to spend so much time with her kids? Why am I always fighting with my husband? Why am I always having such a hard time being promoted? Why am I not able to get the support? Like, if it exists in somebody else's reality, there's no reason for it to not exist in yours. The only reason is you and the other person, they are two different identities. Maybe the other person thinks about support differently. They welcome it. They are receiving. They are appreciative. They love to be supported. But of course, not to the point of being helpless. But they love to be receiving support. They feel worthy of people providing support. So whenever they go, people are so open to providing. They are the same person that when they carry a baby and they go to the counter, people be like, oh, let me get you the and they go and purchase something over the counter like food or whatever. People be like, where is your table? Let me bring the food to you. Or when they are eating the food with their baby, someone and they're struggling to finish their meal, someone comes in and say that, hey, let me look after your baby for a while, because they have that energy and mindset ready to receive. There is no giving without the capacity to receive. It works two ways, right? So instead of always being jealous and triggered and upset and like, okay, the other person can start her own business, but I can't. He can play basketball in the evening, but I can't because I'm stuck with the kids. Like, ask yourself, what is stopping me from receiving more? I think earlier on, right, I mentioned, let's fast forward this a little bit, wind back a bit, that I mentioned about there's two key ways in manifesting our desires. One of it is being done 99% of the time. The other one is done by the 1% of successful people in the world, right? And no second guessing which one is easier, because successful people have a totally different mindset from those who are not successful. So there's actually two ways of manifesting our desires. The first one, which is what everybody says and what we have been brought up in. Hard work, forcing, hustling, prediction. Okay, if this year I got 100K, next year I only can have like 20K extra, and I will take like 30 years, or I have to wait until I strike a lottery before I can make $1 million. It's often very incremental, it's very slow, because it is never beyond what you know. It's unhappy, it's a lack of fulfillment, it's very predictable, but it's also very safe. So because of that safetiness, there is no way how you can manifest something totally different. Okay, even when you have it, the route is very challenged, it's very rocky. It comes at price of sacrifice. Maybe you're sacrificing your health, maybe you're working 12 hours a day, you're not sleeping, you're sacrificing family, you're forsaking your friends. There's no enjoyment, right? And there's no transformation through the journey. It is all about getting to the outcome. So it comes at the price of something, and even if you attain, like maybe it comes at the price of your health, right? And even if you become very rich thereafter, you will find yourself still feeling very, very low energy. And that is what we have stories about, like people who strike lottery, they actually lose their money overnight because they are that same person who do not believe they can keep the money. So even if you attain it, it's very hard to sustain. And bring it back to when I was in insurance, that was that kind of a struggle that I was going through, right? And even if I attain, like the next year I got to do it all over again, or I have to hustle for easily 3 to 5 years and like give up my youth and my time with my kids, and if it makes me very miserable. That was when I realized that sense of misery, that sense of unfulfillment, that sense of dissatisfaction was actually subconsciously playing at the back of my head. That's why I wasn't able to make a breakthrough. However, you have, on the other hand, the opposite route, the other route, which is the effortless route. One where there's trust, there's faith, there's transformation along the journey. It's not just about getting to the outcome, it's also about appreciating who you are. It's about practice makes progress, not practice makes perfect. You have belief in timing, you feel supported, you have people coming in to help you, whether it's people, resources, money coming in to help you, because there's alignment, right? And the things come to you naturally because it is a byproduct of who you are. Right? I repeat that again. It is a byproduct of who you are. So if you are someone that is very happy, and you just attract good vibes, you attract problem solvers, people will come in to help you, because like again I said, there is no giving without receiving. So the second route, of course, is effortless in terms of attaining the results. It's effortless in terms of keeping it, because you whenever you upgrade, it's like there is no way how you can undo it. Okay. However, it is difficult, and it might take somewhat a longer time than the other journey, because the journey is just how I can get there. This one is like, who am I? Okay, what mindsets do I want to shed off? Okay, how can this happen to me? How can I handle this better? It is a lot of introspection and self-reflection, which is not easy for a lot of people to overcome, because that is the ego. Yeah, and ego is actually what blocks us from learning. It blocks us from receiving, and is actually it blocks us from a lot of things in life. Ego is actually one of the biggest things that if anybody can drop is ego, but it's the hardest too, because as humans we all have pride. We all want to think that we know everything, but the truth is that we don't know everything. So until to that point where you can like put down your ego and allow love to come in, allow wisdom to come in, allow that aura, that magic aura, that being receptive and allowing universe to transform for you, until that point comes, you will always be stuck in the hustling, hard work, pushing mode. Okay? So your results of money, of happiness, of joy, of satisfaction, of aligned job, of aligned support will just move in place, because it is a byproduct of who you are. So remember the example where I actually shared about she was actually stuck with a helper that somewhat was very laid back, was like she had to be taught to do every single thing. The next helper that she got was much faster, took initiative, and did so much more work than her. But the only reason why the other helper who wasn't such a good was with time, with this realization, energetically it wasn't a good match for her. She wanted someone faster, she wanted someone who was able to do the work, she wanted somebody who could move without initiation. Okay, a more type A personality, more taking charge personality. So that type B personality helper just fell out of place. So whatever reason, like she had to go back for whatever reason. So I tried the first one, or rather I thought that was the only route that existed until now. Okay, and right now I'm actually doing the second route in every aspect of my life. I'm no longer doing hustling or working hard or pushing. I'm always self-reflecting, always making sure that my belief system matches my reality. If there's something that's missing in my reality, I ask myself, what is missing? What is the gap? Okay, so my question to you is, if the universe is knocking on your door with clients, desirable lifestyle, fulfilling work, okay, passion that pays, what is stopping you from opening the door? Do you believe that it even exists in the first place? Because if you don't, it can never arrive. You can never receive it. It's just like everything is at the doorstep, but we have to do the action to open the door. Right? The best ice cream seller can be standing at your door, but if you are still close to it, if you don't believe that there is an ice cream seller, even though it's like it rings 100 times, you will never be able to get your ice cream. So I had to work late nights, I fell sick often. My body rhythm actually was, it's actually a morning early bird. So I like to sleep early, I wake up early, I'm that person. So sleeping late and like working too late, that was like the total opposite. That interrupted my sleep a lot. And I had to meet clients on weekends, which if I now have to do it, my sons wouldn't allow. I asked so many times, like, hey mommy, can I do work to insurance and like, meet clients on weekend? I don't go out with you and daddy and kai, will you be okay? And they're like, no. Right? So even though I realized that insurance itself was a very money making, it was stable, and of course, don't get me wrong, it is still a very lucrative industry, and those people who are passionate about it, like doing well, like just, do well and go for it, But I have also, it was just me who also upgraded the quality of conversations. I didn't want to talk about fear. I didn't want to talk about FOMO, scarcity. Like, if you don't buy now, the promo will be gone, the kind. Or like, if you don't buy now, 10 years later, you got no money. I didn't want to talk about that anymore. I didn't want to talk about like what the eyes can see. Like, okay, let's plan 10 years later, you see this amount. But I didn't want to see that anymore. I wanted to have more about empowerment, more about alignment, more about like going for your dreams that is out of your reach. Right? So that was when everything shifted for me, and that was how I was able to make such a big transformation that I would have never thought it was possible. So right now, calling in aligned clients who understand me, and that's why I'm so focused on, of course, like followers growth is important, but I place stronger importance on nurturing audience, on creating intentional content, on always looking at my strategy, like what is the missing gap between this and that ideal client that I'm looking for, because I believe everything is with intention, and that is how intentional mindset comes in with producing the results that I have done in my coaching business. And right now I'm starting on another page, right? So allowing having all these limiting beliefs being removed so that I can clean out my system, so that I can make myself lighter and create space to receive much better things in life. All right, so today I'm about to come to an end for my Create Your Dream Life in 2025, and today was entirely talking about mindset blocks, talking about being aware, because like I said about that example, she came to, we had one Zoom call, and I made it aware to her that she was blocking herself from receiving support. She was like looking at me and she was like, how are you able to train your maid so well? She's so efficient, blah, blah, blah. And of course I gave her tangible solutions, which is like, you got to create a system, blah, blah, blah. But the other side, I also addressed the energetic blocks that she was having. Like, she was saying that I had to do everything myself, and I told her that if you continue to believe this way, nobody can help you the way that you deserve. So what is the story behind it? And the moment that I made it aware to her, she worked on herself. She, I bet she was like watching podcasts and going through self-development, and that was how she manifested a support that is taking 70% of her mental load. Okay, and when awareness is very powerful, because awareness, belief, and then change. ABC, right? Awareness. Everything starts off with belief, with awareness. The moment that we are aware, that's when everything happens. A lot of right now, like every one of us, we are going through life unconsciously. We are stuck in this meat suit, pursuing material success, being blinded, chasing after property because that is what everybody in Singapore is buying a car because everybody is buying a car, having kids because everybody is. Have we actually looked inwards and asked ourselves, is that truly what we want, or what is blocking us from wanting more? Okay, so it's really that awareness that can be so powerful. Okay, and tomorrow will be the second day where I talk about how do you replace and create a supportive belief system, because the mind works in this way, where at many moments in time there will always be one belief that you are in. Okay, it's just whether is it supportive of the life that you want or not. And if we do not know how to replace it, nothing ever changes. So tomorrow I'll be giving you the step by step in order to replace it, so that you can do it at home as well. And but of course that begins with awareness, and you can do it, and trust me that you will see yourself create the dream life in 2025 if you have the intention, if you have the self-awareness, and of course the capacity to ignite change. All right, see you and bye bye. I'm so excited for tomorrow.